Hello, welcome to Collaborate to Win's Thursday Live. Today I'm going to be telling you about Made in America. So that is why I have my red, white, and blue on today. I was looking for my little flag that I put out in the yard, but I couldn't find it. So the red, white, and blue outfit has been worn for the occasion. So welcome to our Thursday Lives. We do this every Thursday at 1 o'clock to share product knowledge with you because I want my fellow interior designers to feel confident when they spec things, to know where to start, to save yourself some time and energy. If you've got a budget of this, then go to that company versus this company, and so on and so forth. So every Thursday, we're going to come to you and share some product knowledge. So I wanted to also offer a special thing that we just started. It's brand new and it's completely free. So I created a good, better, and best list that is 100% free for you. All you have to do is go to our website, which is www.collaboratetowin.com, and it has the hyphens, so you got to put the little hyphens in between the words. So if you go there, a little pop-up will come up, and you just put your name and your email address, and we will get you that free, and I'll give you a little preview, good, better, best list. Ooh, yeah, you know you want this. It's pretty cool. So this is a list of all of like the top companies, the most popular ones, and where they rank in the good, better, best world. And I've also given 3 examples. So I price up a standard 3 cushion over 3 cushion, normal arm, nothing fancy about it, the higher end Century, the better range, middle range, CR Lane sofa, same thing, 3 over 3, simple, as tried to get it as the same as I could looking style-wise sofas. And then in the good to lower end is a Brexton Color price up. So you can see what the prices are in the different worlds of good, better, and best. And then on the other side, on the other column, is everything from Cargus all the way down to the garbage stuff and everything in between. So this is a quick glance for you to kind of just take a look and see where is this company lining up next to this company, and so on and so forth. So this is a free tool for you that I created, and you can receive that just by going to our website at collaboratetowin.com, and don't forget the hyphens. Little hyphens in between. So let's dive in to talking about Made in America. So regardless of how you feel about politics, I know I'm not particularly loving what's happening right now in the government, but regardless, I want my fellow Americans to have jobs and have a nice economy, and I still want us to make things. So even the other day when we went just grocery shopping and we needed a new sponge, and I got home and I saw it has a little American flag on it and it says Made in the USA. And that just makes me smile. I just smile when I say, okay, I've supported an American company that's these people work here, they live here. This is a good thing to support. And I know that is also how my clients feel. And I'm sure that's how your clients feel too. So the Made in America has a source of pride, regardless of how you feel about the politics. I think everyone wants their fellow American to have, a job and for us to continue to make things here. So I know when I've sold Made in America to product, furniture, accessories, lighting, whatever it is, the client seems to have a much easier time writing a check for something that's made in America, because it's almost like you're supporting a charity in a way, because you're giving to a cause that you believe in. you want this to be made in America. It means something to you. Not just in that you are keeping America's people employed, but there's, you know, just a general sense of pride. And then there's what that means too. On top of someone's, you know, job, it's usually, and it's not 100% of the time, but it can be a stereotype that it will be made better, or that you're definitely going to have more choices in what you can do with like a finish or a fabric and things like that. And then I hate to say it, but it's probably, and this is not across the board, but it is probably made with a more environmental thought process. I don't know if you guys remember, China poisoned the milk that they feed to infants a while back. So if you're capable of doing that, you're capable of doing all kinds of terrible things to the environment, to your workers. All that stuff plays into it. We have laws in this country. You can't have child labor. You know, you have to treat people a certain way, even though sometimes companies get caught doing the wrong thing. At least there's laws that can protect them from bad things happening. And generally speaking, we try not to poison where we make things, but I know some companies still do. So there's a little bit more of a green recycled thing that's happening with American made. And in trying to come up with a good source of knowledge for everyone, I do a little research before I come on. So in my research, I found it was sad because there aren't that many companies making anything in America anymore. A lot of things have been shipped overseas, and I will go more into depth over the good, the bad, and the whatever. So when I was doing my research, there were a few surprises. There were some, pretty much most of the companies that I found like very quickly, like I was able to rattle it off just from my memory, were either Amish or Mennonite. And so, okay, we know that those are good companies and they tend not to like overcharge. But if that's not the look you're going for, even though they are getting more progressive in the finishes and everything else that they offer, it's harder to find. So here's a few of the companies that you may know. Zimmerman Chair, Gat Creek, Alden Parks, Century for the most part. There's a couple of Century lines that are overseas. I think Monarch is one of them, and they have another one. I can't remember the name, but mostly everything Century. Lortz, Creative Metal and Wood, Abner Henry, Simply Amish, Art Classics, Curie and Company. Mostly some of their little bits and pieces will come from overseas, and that's happening more and more, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Design Master, Lillian Alexander, and this one surprised me. Vanguard. Vanguard is all made in America. I really thought their case goods must be made overseas, but that's not what their website says. And I was also really impressed with their About page. So after we're done live, go check out their website and their About story, because I think it really does help to sell that product when you know the company's story. So they are part of the Sustainable Furniture Council, and they use a lot of recycled materials, and they also recycle materials as well. And actually, I was at Zimmerman Chair this past summer, and I got to see the factory and how they make everything. And it was really neat because they have some green initiatives as well. And they will chop up all the little bits and pieces of extra wood that, you know, the chair seat got cut out of, and all those other little bits and pieces that would normally be scrap wood. They chop them up even smaller, and then it goes down a conveyor belt and it gets fed into this machine that makes it sawdust. And then that sawdust creates wood pellets for wood pellet stove, and I happen to have a wood pellet stove in my house, so it was kind of neat to see that that sawdust is going to get recycled and become something that I could burn in my house. So that's pretty cool, and that's one of the advantages when you buy something not just in America, but also kind of local to you, because the Zimmerman chair is in Pennsylvania and I'm in New Jersey. So it's very possible that that sawdust is burning right now in my stove. So that's kind of fun. A couple other companies that I came up with for Made in America is CMI Furniture and Xenex. So that was my list. And then I was surprised by one that wasn't on the list that I think is, you know, a little higher price point. And so I just start to assume that they're made in America because they're a little bit higher. Old Biscayne. I was very surprised that Old Biscayne doesn't have a made in America. And that's one thing. When something is made in America, they put that sign up, made in America. It's usually right on the homepage, so there's no question because that is a selling point. I mean, so much so that I think you could niche into made in America, because there's definitely people who niche into green and vegan and, you know, feng shui and all these other niches, right? So if you wanted to just focus on people who make things in America, I bet you would get clients that only want to buy made in America, and then you could hone down the list of vendors that you could offer and say, I'm only offering these because I know they're made in America. Another thing to note is most upholstery companies are made in America because it's very hard to ship an entire sofa. It's a big, heavy, bulky thing. That's not to say that there aren't sofa companies that do ship, like Four Hands, that's completely made overseas. That's why there are no options. You get it in this color or this color. It's that leather or that fabric, done, period, end of story. It comes in this finish, that is it. Because it is made there and it needs to break down into little boxes and get shipped overseas. So, you know, I could rattle off all the upholstery companies, but pretty much anything where you have choices, it's made in America. So that is the big list. Now, however, one of my favorite companies is C.R. Lane, and they had a chair that they introduced that was a metal frame, and that frame they were sourcing from somewhere overseas, and I think it might have been China, because as soon as the tariff thing started to happen, they said, you know what, let's just discontinue that chair. So when I was working at Ethan Allen, their whole, I mean, remember their whole thing was that Williamsburg, made in America, everything's made in America, and it was like plastered all over the store. And this was, God, at least 10 years ago. So, so 10 years ago, they were even taking the signage down a little smaller, because they couldn't truly say that anymore. All of their dining chairs that have any carving are made overseas. Anything that has carving is usually now made overseas. And some of that is somebody trying to save money. But in all honesty, when I was really thinking about this, as far as like I was surprised that Old Biscayne wasn't made here, we don't have a sales force, employment force that can make these things anymore. I remember when I worked at the upholstery store, and we had the guys upstairs that did the best work. They were from Cuba. They had a horrific journey on like a raft across the sea to get to America. And then the owner of the shop, he actually paid for the lawyer for their immigration and got them their green cards because they were skilled in something that he couldn't find in an American anymore. And we're going back 20 years. I mean, I've been doing interior design for 19 years. So that's almost 20 years ago that even then he had a hard time finding really skilled people who work with their hands. So parents, when you're telling your kids about job market stuff, don't just limit them to cubicles in the corporate world. We need people to make things with their hands and have a skill and learn a craft. And that's probably not a 4-year degree, which, thank God, because that's $100,000 easily. You go and you apprentice with someone and you learn how to carve the wood or make the whole sewing thing, all of that stuff. I don't know how to do it. I can barely do it. I could do a crap job. I could manage to make something kind of crappy, but to do a real skilled thing, we actually have to look to other countries now because we've lost the art. We don't have that in our training. So it's just one of those things. If you've got, thank you for Blake, right? Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Lisa, Lenore, and Tracy. Welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. So yeah, we don't have as many skilled professionals. So when I started to think, why is this company not saying that they're made in America? And I bet it's because anything that has carving is probably made in like Vietnam or one of those places where that's still a skill that they're teaching the next generations. And metalworks, I think Mexico has beautiful metalworks because they do that like all the time. So I'm just, thinking a little bit more along the lines of this isn't necessarily always economics. It's where do the people make the best thing? And so the world has become a little bit smaller in how we source things. And if you think about cars, almost any car that you own is made all over the place. There's a part made here, there's a part made there, and then it's assembled in another country and it's then shipped somewhere else. So it's a smaller world where you can't say it's 100% from here or there, like Curry and Company. Mostly, they're definitely an American company. They're based somewhere in the US, I forget what state. It's all assembled here, but there could be a bit of this metal or a bit of that crystal or something that got sourced from somewhere else. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I do know that I feel a sense of pride when I see that Made America little flag on a website or the product that I've just bought or the pamphlet that comes with the furniture. And I know I had one client in particular that said, I'm really so glad that these pieces are made in America because I know that that's hard to find now. So thank you for sourcing Made in America. So that was interesting because it really could be a niche. I only focus on people who want to buy American made. That really could be a niche. So if anybody has questions, I'm open for them. If I can answer, I will do my best. Hi, Kimberly. I'm glad you can join. And that is pretty much my list. So go check out Vanguard. And if you have a kid that's not like, oh, I love school, maybe get them to imprint, like even electricians are going to be better paid than like the CEO because we're not training people to make things or do things with their hands anymore. It's one of those pet peeves of mine. We need all kinds of workers, right? Yeah. Oh, you missed the list? All right. It's not that thorough. You'd have to do a lot more research, but here's what I had time to find. So again, Zimmerman Chair, Gat Creek, Alden Parks, Century for the most part. There's a couple collections that aren't. Lortz, Creative Metal and Wood, Abner Henry, Simply Amish, Art Classics, Curry and Company for the most part, Design Master, Lillian Alexander, Vanguard, CMI Furniture, and I'm sure there's more. Anybody that does upholstery and gives you choices is going to be made in America, like, all of them. But the list would be longer if I were to rattle off companies that are not made in the US. Yeah, Yeah, that's a little sad, but it is it is what it is. So that's the current situation. If you need to rewind later, you can write down the list later. So, and don't forget, our free gift is at collaboratetowin.com. You can go and get that list, which is the good, better, best list. And so next week, I'm going to come back and share with you a couple of stories that I think probably everyone has a similar story of sourcing furniture for clients, and it was very eye-opening for me. So I'm going to share those two stories with you next week. So thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome. Have a fantastic day. And it's snowing again here in New Jersey. I'm looking out my window and there are little flurries. I'm so sick of it. I want spring. Anybody with me? I want some spring. I want spring. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me live. Hope to see you next week and every week after. Bye.